Hey friend, let me ask you something. What if your podcast didn't just change lives today? What if it shaped generations tomorrow? Hey, I'm Theresa Croft. Welcome to the Stuck No More Voices podcast. We are in part 2 of our series, Why Jesus is Calling Women to the Mic. Today's conversation is called The Power of Legacy and Voice as Counter to Culture. I'm so glad you're listening. I help Christian businesswomen, by the way, launch spirit-led podcasts that come from overflow, not overwhelm. And yes, I teach 2 simple AI tools that remove the overwhelm so you can focus on the anointing. You don't need convincing that you have a voice. You've led, you've built, you've overcome. This conversation is more about alignment, making sure your voice is released from overflow, not obligation. So let's dive in. What are you unintentionally passing down? Silence or courage? Now, we're not just creating episodes. You're planting spiritual seeds. Every story you tell, every breakthrough you share, every truth you speak, it leaves a footprint. Podcasting is one of the only platforms where your literal voice becomes part of your legacy, a digital imprint that lives on. This isn't just content, it's inheritance. I thought a lot about this, not in a morbid way, but in a purposeful way. One day I'll pass from this earth, and maybe my grandchildren or their children will wonder, what was she like? What did she believe? How did she walk through the hard times? And imagine them pressing play on their latest iPhone 25, and they hear my voice, not filtered, not perfect, but authentic, holy, steady. I think about my 89-year-old mother. Dementia has taken its toll on her memory, but her life still lives on because my children can see pictures of her. They can visit her, and those moments matter. They're actually priceless. But I'm grateful I can still remember her voice, and her kind words will live on. Her laughter will live on. Her unwavering support will live on. Her famous love hugs will live on. And it makes me realize something. In this day, I'm shaping legacy right now. And if I be stuck no more and keep using my voice, I'm leaving something behind that my children and their children can return to. Because if I don't speak, I pass down silence. But if I show up, flaws and all, healing journey, all of it, I pass down courage. Friend, your mic is not about attention. It's about generation permission. And silence is not your inheritance. Are you willing to be louder or willing to be anchored? Let's be honest. The world is loud, terribly loud right now. Fear is loud. Confusion is loud. Division is loud. But daughters of God don't echo noise. We override it, not by shouting, but by being anchored. Some of you listening have walked through some storms that almost took you out. I see your testimonies as you email me. Thank you. Or as you DM me. And now your voice carries weight, not because you're loud, but because you've lived it and you're ready to testify. There's a quote I once read in my time with God that stayed with me. And it said something like this: somewhere along the way, we realized that our greatest wound can become the doorway to our greatest healing if you're willing to walk through it. And I didn't just read that. I had memories where I am walking through it, and I walked through it because what nearly silenced me became the very place God rebuilt me. And if I'm honest, walking through the doorway took years. For 26 years, I was married to a man who never dealt with the unbrokenness of his own soul. And much of the time, I survived the emotional fallout of that. I fought for my voice, even when I felt it easier just to shrink back. Jealousy created isolation. Dreams felt delayed. Friendships felt distant. There were days my voice shook. Days I tried to record, sometimes in a closet for safety. No one could criticize me in there. Days if I wondered if I would ever fully step into the call to speak. Had such a desire. But one thing remained, and this was the pivotal thing. I stayed in his presence. Morning after morning, coffee after coffee, the word open on my lap. I clung to the voice of the vine dresser in John 15. Love that chapter. But even when my voice felt small, here's the key I want you to hear. After my husband passed away, I still had to heal before I spoke more powerfully. Freedom from a situation is not the same as healing from it. God brought a mentor, a neuropsychological expert who became a trusted friend. There was intentional work, renewing of my mind, an identity shift where I learned to trust myself again. The number one shift, a belief system that believed what God said about me, not what others. The realization I am enough. And when my voice returned in clarity, it didn't come back loud. It came back steady, spirit-filled, grounded. And that kind of voice, culture cannot compete with it. Your podcast, listen, doesn't have to be flashy, but it will be holy. Because when truth flows from intimacy with God, someone hears hope from your voice for the very first time, and atmospheres shift. So if God trusted you with this story, why are you doubting your ability to steward it? Come on now. You've been entrusted with a voice that carries weight. The weight is the very glory of God on your voice. You're not seeking worldly fame, just kingdom authority. And when a woman of God gets bold enough to share her story, revival ripples. Come on now. You've built businesses. You've led teams. You've solved problems. But this is legacy work. You want your children to know faith. Speak it. You want women to believe again. Testify. You want your legacy to be bold. Use your mic. But hear me clearly. You don't start from hustle. You start from healing. You start from overflow. That's why I teach podcasting the way I do. Not strategy first, identity first. Then structure, then systems, then support, then community, then transformation. I really believe as you do a podcast that you can have transformation in your life. Support, yes, you need that. But legacy is too important to build from burnout. So let me ask you, are you ready to begin? Before you answer that, just notice what's happening inside you right now. If something feels stirred, if something feels exposed, if something feels awakened, that's not emotion. That's recognition. You're not confused about your calling. You're wrestling with your capacity. And those two very things are different. You already carry the voice. You already carry the testimony, and you already carry the authority. The breakthrough isn't discovering you're called. The breakthrough is admitting you're ready to steward it. And stewardship requires movement. Legacy doesn't build itself. Healing doesn't implement itself. Voices don't activate themselves. There comes a moment when agreement turns into action, where clarity turns into structure, where stirring turns into strategy. And this might be that moment for you. Not that I'm convincing you, but because something in you knows it's time. Time to stop shrinking. Time to stop overthinking. Time to stop waiting for perfect conditions. Breakthrough feels powerful, but implementation builds legacy. So if you're ready to move from stirring to structure, from idea to execution, from healing to activation, I want to invite you to the next steps. I created a free training over at stucknomorevoices.ai. And if you sign up, I give you a bonus video of the 3 steps, how I help Christian women launch. Click the link in our show notes and you'll learn more, because basically I desire to help you because you already have the package. Let's just walk through spirit-led podcasting that comes not from overwhelm, not from burnout. We talk clarity. We have a mental coach. We talk structure. We talk simple systems. And yes, we talk about those 2 AI tools. Totally remove overwhelm and totally give you time in your day where creating a podcast doesn't take all day. This isn't about chasing influence. It's about answering invitation. If you built businesses, led teams, carried responsibility, you already know how to build. And now it's time to build something eternal. Go to the show notes and learn more. So take the step. Not because you feel pressure, but because you feel peace. And peace is often the clearest confirmation. I'll talk to you in the next edition of the Stuck No More Voices podcast, where we'll go on to part 3 of this series. Why is Jesus calling women to the mic? I'll meet you there. Until next time, stay anchored, stay faithful, and keep using your voice for His glory.